Well, tens of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza have rallied to mark the 30th anniversary of the founding of Hamas. In a show of strength, hundreds of militants attended the event. The leader of the Palestinian Islamist group, Ismail Haniyeh, has vowed to continue projects of liberation and resistance in all forms. His declaration is in response to the US decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
The first goal is to force the US administration to back down from this unfair decision, breaking the American decision. I say while relying on God, on our people, the people of our nation, and on the free people of the world, that we will knock down Trump's decision, one time and forever.
Well, for more on those developments, we are joined in Jerusalem by Adel El-Marouhi. Adel, tell us, Israel has already deployed security forces in Jerusalem. Are there any signs of violence breaking out there?
Well, not yet. The Friday prayers have started and scores of Palestinians have rushed to Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. When the protests are expected, they're expected after the Friday prayers conclude. That should be from 10 to 30 minutes from now. The Friday prayers is the biggest Muslim gathering across the week, and of course here at East Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa Mosque is the main destination where most of Muslims would head for their Friday prayers. Afterwards, this is what we're expecting, and also the Israeli officials as well, security troops are scattered all around the area, anticipating the protests as well. Now, how big it will be, this will not be clear unless it will. The Friday prayers are over, but expectations are it will be one of the biggest in the past few days.
Adel, we'll return to you. We now have CGTN's Noor Harazin joining us. She is joining us from Gaza. Noor, clashes are expected to erupt after Friday prayers, as Adel was telling us there. What's the situation like now in the Palestinian territories?
Well, the Friday prayer is being held right now, and shortly after it finishes, crowds and people will leave the prayer from the different mosques located in the Gaza Strip in northern, southern, and also in central Gaza, and start heading to the border lines between Gaza and Israel, where clashes is expected to erupt between the Palestinian youth and the Israeli forces. The Palestinian Health Ministry here in the Gaza Strip has said that it is emergency status, as they are expecting casualties to arrive to the hospitals today. The number of casualties since last week only in the Gaza Strip is up to 250, and 4 people were killed. So Palestinians, clashes could erupt between Palestinians and Israeli forces, and the hospitals are expecting many casualties to arrive today, as the number of crowds will be really big.
And Noor, we'll return to you in a moment. Noor is in Gaza. We are now going to go over to Adel again in Jerusalem. Adel, the tensions over Jerusalem appear set to escalate even further. Where do you think this leaves the Israel-Palestine peace process, or are negotiations now impossible?
Well, it definitely puts tension and decreases the possibility for the resumption of talks. Hamas in Gaza has announced a third uprising, and the violence that has been seen, according to Palestinian officials recently, the violence that they've seen in the past week after Donald Trump made his announcement was the biggest volume of violence and clashes that happened in 3 years since 2014. So what is going on is definitely a revival of tension, not peace. And as long as Palestinians will continue, and they're not willing to let go easily of the declaration to recognize the entire Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So it doesn't seem that that would help, at least even also if we talk about in terms of mediation. The United States is no longer a viable broker for peace based on what Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has said. What will happen? How will this be recovered? This what we'll see in the next week when the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence arrives in the Middle East. He will be in Egypt. He's coming also here, but he's not going to meet the Palestinian president after Mahmoud Abbas announced his rejection to meet him. So it all complicates the situation after many were hoping that the resumption of the peace talks would have been soon.
Okay, thank you for that, Adel. Adel in Jerusalem there. Now let's return to Noor in Gaza. Noor, Hamas is convinced that it can reverse Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. What more can you tell us about this?
Well, Hamas and also the Palestinian people do believe that this action by the U.S. President Donald Trump to move the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem and also to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is an action that could benefit the Palestinian people and the Palestinian state. There is some news that the PA could take it to the UN and ask for a full membership for Palestine. It could also help in the process of the reconciliation between the two rival parties, Fatah and Hamas, and end 10 years of Palestinian division, as the people on the ground believe that this problem and this everything that was happening over the past 2 weeks could help the two rival parties, Fatah and Hamas, to finally come and unite against Israel and to show the world, the international community, that Jerusalem belongs to Palestinians. It also could push Arab and Muslim countries to support the Palestinian cause.
Okay, Noor Harazin in Gaza, thank you. And earlier, of course, we spoke to Adel El Mahrouhi in Jerusalem.